participants. Now I welcome all the participants for the second day program of this FDP on speech and natural language processing. So on this day, we are having totally 3 sessions. First session is by Dr. U.V. Vidya Shankara, who is going to present us on or make us to learn on digital modeling of speech signal and LPC analysis. And the next 2 sessions would be of the implementation of the Kaladi toolkit of speech recognition, which would be conducted by IIT Dharwad, Dr. Deepak. So now I would like to introduce our speaker of the first session, Dr. U.V. Udayashankara. So Dr. U.V. Udayashankara is a professor in the Department of Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering at JSS Science and Technology University, Mysuru. He has graduated from SJC Mysore and obtained his ME and PhD degrees from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. His research interest includes rehabilitation engineering and signal processing, and under his guidance, he has completed 7 PhD degrees to be awarded. He has served as a professor and head in the Department of Electronics and Instrumentation Engineering from 2012 to 2018. So he has completed 4 projects funded by CSIR and AICTE up to the rupees 50 lakh. So he has authored 135 publications in various national and international journals and conferences in these areas. So he has authored 3 books. So one book is 1851 Microcontroller, Hardware, Software and Applications. So McGraw-Hill 2009, it was published. And another book is on real-time signal processing. So which as publisher is a PHI in the year 2010. And digital signal processing under PHI, which is in 2012. So and it is in a 3rd edition, which is printed in 2016. So he has handled many academic responsibilities, like he worked as a chairman and member of for BOS at universities of Mysore and VTU, and he has selected for 3 times as a chairman and member of BOE at University of Mysore and VTU. So he was honored with the eminent academician and research by IEEE PESC in 2016, and he was felicitated by VTU in 2018. So it is a brief introduction about sir. To his credits, he is having many awards and achievements and many more publications. So I welcome you on behalf of the college and the department. I welcome you all. I welcome you, sir, for this session. Now I hand over the podium for you. Over to you, sir.
Therefore, good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
in this
sir.
session, we will discuss the basics of speech signal, digital models, and LPC analysis. I think all of you know, speech communication is the transfer of information from one person to another person via speech. Speech signal processing, you already know, can be defined as the manipulation of sampled speech signal by a digital processor to obtain new signals with some desired properties. Therefore, all of you know, in real time, depending on the application, we process speech signal by using digital signal processor. And you know, speech signals are non-stationary signals. I think all of you know there are 3 types of signals. One is stationary signals, quasi-stationary signals, and non-stationary signals. That is, in case of stationary signals, all of you know, if the spectral contents, if it is not changing with the time, spectral contents means the frequency information, if it is not changing with the time, then we call such type of signals as stationary signals. For example, sine wave. Okay. Next one is quasi-stationary signal. In case of quasi-stationary signals, the spectral contents, no, it is slightly changing with the time. Okay. Such type of signals are called quasi-stationary signal. Example, ECG signal. Okay. The last one is non-stationary signal. In case of non-stationary signal, the spectral contents, it changes continuously with the time. Spectral contents also changes, and the amplitude also changes with time. You can see in figure 1. Okay. That's why the speech signals, since spectral contents and amplitude both are changing continuously with time, the speech signals are called non-stationary signal. And since it is non-stationary, it is very difficult to process speech signals. Next, before discussing speech digital models, first we will discuss the speech production mechanism. You already know the speaker produces speech signal in the form of pressure waves that travel from speaker to listener. The organs that are involved in producing speech can be divided into three main groups. They are lungs, larynx, parts of mouth, and nose. Okay, the organs involved in speech production, it is divided into three groups: lungs, larynx, and the parts of mouth and nose. That means oral cavity and nasal cavity. In addition to this, in speech production, the vocal fold or glottis, it plays important role. And also velum. Velum also, it plays very important role in speech production. In addition to this, in the oral cavity, it contains lips, teeth, tongue, etc. All these are called articulators. All these are called articulators, and these are also plays very important role in speech production. Okay, main organs are lungs, larynx, and parts of mouth and nose means the oral cavity and nasal cavity. In addition to this, the vocal fold, velum, and articulators, these plays very important role in speech production. This is the complete diagram of speech production. Okay, and I think all of you know lungs are the sources of airflow. Lungs are the sources of airflow, and this is diaphragm. And you already know when diaphragm, when it expands and contracts, the air passes from lungs, then through larynx, then it passes through either oral or nasal cavity. This is oral cavity and this is nasal cavity. Okay. Therefore, when diaphragm, when it expands and contracts, the air, it passes from lungs through vocal tract, then through oral and nasal cavity. Okay. Therefore, in larynx, you already know it contains vocal fold. Vocal fold is present in larynx, and vocal folds, this is also called glottis. Okay, and this plays a very important role in speech production. And this vocal fold or glottis, it remains in three conditions. Okay, either it remains in closed condition, or it remains in open condition, or it remains in open and closed condition. Okay, therefore, once when it is in closed condition, then what happens? Air is not at all passing from lungs through oral cavity or nasal cavity, because it is closed. That means there is no speech production. Once when it is closed, there is no speech production. Next, once when it is completely open, the air from lungs, it passes through oral or nasal cavity. And the third condition is, you already know, the glottis, it opens and breaks. It opens and breaks means it breaks the, okay, once when it opens and closes, then what happens? It breaks the airflow into periodic pulses. It breaks the airflow into periodic pulses. Therefore, the glottis, it remains in three conditions. One is closed. When it is closed, then the air is not at all passing through oral or nasal cavity. Hence, there is no speech production. Once when it is open, then what happens? the complete air it passes through oral and nasal cavity. The third condition is open and closes. When it opens and closes, it breaks the airflow into periodic pulses. It breaks the airflow into periodic pulses. Okay. Next important organ plays in speech production is velum. Okay. You can see between the nasal cavity and oral cavity, velum is present. This velum, no, either it is in lowered condition or it is in raised condition. Now, once when it is in raised condition, what happens? Air it passes through oral cavity. When it is in raised condition, the air it passes through oral cavity. When it is lowered, then the air passes through the nasal cavity. Therefore, the velum, no, depending on the placement of velum, air it passes through oral or nasal cavity. I think you know in case of N, in this, no, the air it passes through the nasal cavity. Okay. And also I already told you the tongue, teeth, lips, etc. All these are called articulators. That also plays important role in speech production. Next, no, in speech sounds, they are mainly classified into three types. One is voiced, second one is unvoiced, and the third one is silence. Therefore, you already know when glottis opens and closes, it breaks the airflow into periodic pulses. Okay, that is the speech sounds which are produced with the help of glottal pulse, no, is called voiced speech sounds. Okay, that is once when glottis, when it opens and closes, it breaks the airflow into periodic pulses, and speech sounds which are produced with the help of glottal pulse waveform is called voiced speech sound. All vowels, that is A, E, I, O, U, etc. all these are voiced speech sounds, and these are produced with the help of glottal pulse waveform. Okay. The next one is unvoiced. Therefore, you already know the when glottis, no, when it is completely open, the air, no, it passes from lungs to oral or nasal cavity. In this condition, whatever the speech sounds which are produced, they are called unvoiced speech sounds. They are called unvoiced speech sound. I think you know P, K, etc. all these are unvoiced speech sound. Okay. The third one is silence. Silence means you already know when glottis is closed, then there is no air flow from lungs to vocal tract, and there is no speech production. That period is called the silence. Okay. And these are the three types of speech sound. Next important thing is we have to know about there are two frequency in the speech sounds. One is fundamental frequency and another one is formant frequency, and it's also called formant. Okay. Therefore, now the glottal waveform, no, you can see from the figure, that is once when glottis, no, when it opens and closes, you get this type of waveform. These are called glottal pulse waveform. The time span between successive vocal fold closures is referred to as pitch period or fundamental period T0. You can see in the figure, this is the point. Okay, the vocal glottis, no, it is closed. Again, at this point, it is closed. Therefore, the time span between successive vocal fold closures, okay, is referred as pitch period or T0. Okay, and the reciprocal of pitch period, no, is called the pitch frequency. Reciprocal of pitch period is called pitch frequency, and it is also called the fundamental frequency. Okay, and it is also called fundamental frequency. And in all the speech signal processing books, this fundamental frequency, no, it is referred or it is represented by F0. Okay, it is represented by F0. Next, no, the resonant frequencies. Okay, that is the in the vocal tract, it is a lossless tube. Vocal tract, you already know, it is a lossless tube, and the frequencies which are produced in the lossless tube are called formant frequencies, and it is also called formands. And these formands are denoted by F1, F2, so on up to Fn. Therefore, important thing is in speech, there are two frequencies. One is fundamental frequency and second one is formant frequency. And the important thing is the time span between successive vocal fold closures is referred as pitch period. Okay, and the reciprocal of pitch period is fundamental frequency, and the frequencies of the lossless tube or the frequencies which are produced in the vocal tract, it is called formant frequency or formands, and it is represented by F1 to Fn. Next, now we will study the vocal tract, representation of vocal tract by concatenation of lossless tube. Therefore, vocal tract, you already know, it is a lossless tube with a different cross-sectional area. Okay, and glottis from glottis to lips, it is called a vocal tract. Okay, therefore now you can see from the figure, it has got different cross-sectional area, and you already know the speech, it is a non-stationary signal. Speech is a non-stationary signal. It is difficult to process speech signal because it is a non-stationary signal. But the advantage in speech is the vocal tract, to change its shape, it takes 10 to 20 milliseconds. To change the shape, it takes 10 to 20 milliseconds. And during that time, it acts as a linear time invariant system. Okay, and during that time speech signals are stationary and it acts as a linear time invariant system. And if E of n is the excitation signal, and if H of n is the response of the vocal tract, then S of n, that is speech output, it is obtained by taking the convolution of excitation signal and the response of the vocal tract, that is E of n asterisk H of n. Okay, important thing is in vocal tract, that is for duration 10 to 20 milliseconds. Okay, it requires 10 to 20 milliseconds to change its shape. During that time, it acts as a linear time invariant system, LTI system. That means it satisfies the principle of superposition theorem. Okay, if E of n is the excitation signal and if H of n is the response of the vocal tract, then speech output S of n, it is obtained by taking the convolution of excitation signal and H of n, which is response of the vocal tract. Okay, and also the convolution, it is commutative. Convolution is commutative. Therefore, E of n asterisk H of n, it is equal to H of n asterisk H of E of n. Okay, since convolution is commutative, E of n asterisk H of n, it is equal to H of n asterisk X of n, E of n. Okay, and it is equal to sigma k equals minus infinity to plus infinity H of k into E of n minus k. This is the for basic equation in speech processing, that is speech output. Okay, that is only for small duration 10 to 20 millisecond. It is obtained by taking the convolution of excitation signal and the response of the vocal tract, that is represented by H of n. Okay, this is the simplified model for speech production. Therefore, you already know, either it receives the voiced signal. For voiced signal, it is generated with the help of glottal pulse trains, or unvoiced. Unvoiced means the glottis is completely open, that is a random noise generator that is received, then it is multiplied by a gain, and then it is passed through the vocal tract. Vocal tract, you already know, it is a lossless tube. It acts as a linear time invariant system, and also it acts as a digital filter. Okay, this is the simplified model. Next, now we will study complete model, digital model for speech production. This is the complete digital model for speech production. Therefore, all of you know, either it receives voiced signal or unvoiced. Therefore, in case of voiced signal, you already know the glottis opens and closes, and the glottal pulse waveforms are generated. Okay, that is received. Or in case of unvoiced, you already know the glottis is completely open. Therefore, it receives the random signal. Now, this is no. This input is multiplied by gain G. Then after that, no, it is passed through lossless tube. Lossless tube is vocal tract model, okay, and it is controlled by vocal tract parameters, okay. Then after that, no, it is given to radiation model. The function of this radiation model, no, it converts velocity to pressure. Therefore, you already know the speech is a pressure waveform. Okay, the function of radiation model converts velocity to pressure. Therefore, now you can see it has got three models. One is the glottal pulse model, that is in voiced speech signal. It has got three models: glottal pulse model, vocal tract model, and third one is radiation model. Now let us assume G of transfer function of glottal pulse model. V of Z is the transfer function of vocal tract model, and R of Z is the transfer function of radiation model. Okay, if you assume G of Z, V of Z, and R of Z as the transfer function of glottal pulse, vocal tract, and radiation model, then the total transfer function, no, H of Z is given by the product of G of Z, V of Z, and R of Z. Okay, therefore it is calculated, total transfer function, no, it is calculated by multiplying the transfer functions of these three models. Therefore, now first we will study the glottal pulse model. Glottal pulse model. The Reisenberg, no, he developed a glottal pulse model which replaces the natural glottal pulse waveform with synthetic pulse waveform. Okay, he developed the glottal pulse model, and it is given by G of n equals half into 1 minus cos pi n divided by n1 for this interval 0 less than or equal to n less than or equal to n1, and it is cos pi into n minus n1 divided by 2n2 for the interval n1 less than or equal to n less than or equal to n1 plus n2, 0 otherwise. He developed this equation. Okay, when we plot G of n versus time, no, you get this pulse. I think you already seen, no, in the previous slide, the natural glottal pulse waveform. This is synthetic glottal pulse waveform. This is generated with the help of this equation. Okay, and it is almost same as natural glottal pulse waveform. Okay, and if you plot the frequency of this, you get like this. It has got the low pass filter characteristics. Okay, this is the glottal pulse model, and it is developed by Reisenberg. Next, vocal tract model. Vocal tract, you already know, it can be modeled as lossless tube model or digital filter model. Okay, and first now we will study lossless tube model. The vocal tract behaves like a lossless tube with varying cross-sectional area, and it is shown in this figure, and you already know it has got different cross-sectional areas. Okay, and it acts as a linear system. Okay, it can be represented as a linear system, and also it works as a linear time invariant system, and it is controlled by vocal tract parameter. Therefore, this vocal tract model, no, it can be modeled by two methods. One is lossless tube model, and second one is digital filter model. Okay. Therefore, in the lossless tube model, you already know for 10 to 20 milliseconds, it acts as a linear time invariant system. If alpha suffix k or vocal tract parameters. If you assume no alpha suffix k vocal tract parameters, then output UL of n no, it is given by G into UG of n. Okay, this is UG of n is input, that is multiplied by G, plus since it is a lossless tube, the output no, it depends on the previous values. That's why it is plus k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into UL of n minus k. Okay, therefore the output of the vocal tract model UL of n, it is given by G into UG of n plus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into UL of n minus k. Now if we take Z transform on both the sides, then it becomes UL of Z, it is equal to G into UG of Z plus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into Z to the power of minus k into UL of Z. If you rearrange this equation, then UL of Z into 1 minus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into Z to the power of minus k, it is equal to G into UG of Z, and V of Z, okay, it is equal to UL of Z divided by UG of Z, that is equal to G into G divided by 1 minus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into Z to the power of minus k. This is the expression for the transfer function of the vocal tract. Okay, and if you know the vocal tract parameters, okay, that is alpha suffix k values, then you can calculate V of Z. Okay, the second one is digital filter model. Therefore, it can be modeled as lossless tube, and another one is digital filter model. Therefore, you already know the digital filter model, no? This lossless tube, it produces frequencies, and these frequencies are called formant frequencies. Okay, therefore, it acts as a cascade of second order system, and it is given by V of Z equals pi k equals 1 to m Vk of Z. Okay, and this is a second order system, IIR filters, and the transfer function of IIR filter, no, it is given by Vk of Z equals 1 minus 2 into e to the power minus alpha suffix k into t into cos 2 pi fk into t plus e to the power minus 2 alpha k into t divided by 1 minus 2 into e to the power minus alpha k into t cos 2 pi fk into t into Z to the power of minus 1 plus e to the power minus 2 alpha k into t into Z to the power of minus 2. This is the second order IIR filter equation, transfer function of second order IIR filter. Those who already studied DSP, no, digital signal processing, they know this expression. Okay, and in this fk, no, it corresponds to formant or formant frequencies, and alpha suffix k, no, it corresponds to pitch period. Alpha suffix k corresponds to pitch period, and reciprocal of this, you already know, it is fundamental frequency. Therefore, in order to calculate the transfer function of the second order filter, no, it requires the formant frequency and also fundamental frequency. Now, in this expression, if gk equals 1 minus 2 into e to the power minus alpha k into t into cos 2 pi fkt plus e to the power minus 2 alpha k into t, and absolute value of zk equals e to the power minus alpha k into t and theta k equals 2 pi fk into t, then the above equation can be written as gk divided by 1 minus 2 into absolute value of zk into cos theta k into z to the power of minus 1 plus z to the power of k square into z to the power of minus 2. And V of Z, no, it is obtained by cascading all these filters. Therefore, this is the diagram. Okay, this is the diagram for each filter. Okay, and you already know V of Z is obtained by cascading all these filters. In DSP, in order to represent the transfer function, no, there are 4 methods: direct form 1, direct form 2, cascade and parallel form. And each filter, no, it is represented in direct form 2, and finally V of Z is obtained by cascading all these filter. This is the complete diagram for the transfer function of digital filter. The third one is the radiation model. Third one is radiation model. Before you already know the radiation model, it converts velocity to pressure. Speech signal, no, always it is in the form of pressure waves. Okay. Therefore, this function, no, it is done by lips. The function of lips, it converts velocity to pressure. The radiation model, no, it is the lips, and the function of lips is it converts velocity to pressure. That's why speech signal, no, it is in the form of pressure waves. And you already know the relation between pressure and volume velocity. It is given by PL of Z equals R of Z into UL of Z, where R of Z, no, it is the Z transform of lip impedance, and lip impedance is given by ZL of omega equals J omega into R suffix R into L suffix R divided by R suffix R plus J into omega into L suffix R, and R suffix R is given by 128 divided by 9 pi square, and L suffix R is given by 8A divided by 3P, where A is the radius of lip opening and C is the velocity of the sound. And this lip impedance, it can be modeled by RL circuit, and this works as high pass filter with cutoff frequency 6 kilohertz. Okay, therefore the final, no, the radiation model, and it is done by lips, and the function of lips, no, it converts velocity to pressure. That's why speech signal, no, it is in the form of pressure waves, and lip impedance, no, it is given by this formula, and in this, no, RR is given by 128 divided by 9 pi square, and LR is given by 8A divided by 3 pi C, where A is the radius of lip opening and C is the velocity of sound. Therefore, now by using these formulas, no, you can calculate, okay, the transfer function of the vocal tract model, radiation model, and glottal pulse model. After calculating the transfer function of all these models, if you multiply, okay, all these three, you get the transfer function of the digital model of speech. Okay. Next, now we will discuss about the speech analysis. The process of extracting properties or features of speech signal is called speech analysis. The process of extracting properties or features of speech signal is called speech analysis. In speech analysis, there are three types of analysis. One is time domain analysis, second one is frequency domain analysis, and third one is LPC analysis. Okay, there are three types of analysis. One is time domain analysis, second one is frequency domain analysis, the third one is LPC analysis. Now, first we will study time domain analysis. Okay, the short time speech analysis. Therefore, you already know the vocal tract shape, no, will not alter for duration 10 to 20 milliseconds. Okay, and speech, you already know it is a non-stationary signal. Continuously it changes with time. Okay, only for 10 to 20 milliseconds it remains stationary. That's why in speech processing, always, no, speech signals are divided into segments. That's why it is called short time speech analysis, because we are not processing entire speech information. We divide the speech signal into segments. Okay, then we perform the analysis. That's why it is called short time speech analysis. In short time speech analysis, we calculate energy, autocorrelation function, zero crossing rate, etc. And all these are useful in classifying speech signals as voiced, unvoiced, and also it is useful in calculating the fundamental frequency. Okay, therefore important thing is speech is a non-stationary signal, and since the advantage is vocal tract, no, it changes its shape after 10 to 20 milliseconds. Because of that, no, we divide the speech signal into segment, okay, with the help of a moving window, and then we process the speech signal. That's why it is called short time speech analysis. And in short time speech analysis, we calculate energy, autocorrelation function, and zero crossing rate. Therefore, first we will derive the expression for short time speech signal. Okay, the short time speech signal, you already know, it is obtained by taking the convolution of transformation of S of n and W of n, where W of n is the window function. Okay, therefore it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity transformation of S of m into W of n minus m. Okay, and this equation, no, it can be represented with this figure, that is figure 13. First, no, the speech signal, then transformation takes place, then it is given to W of n. Okay, therefore the function of this, you already know, it divides the speech signal into segments. Therefore the Qn, no, that is output, that is short time speech signal. Short time speech signal, no, it is represented by Q suffix n, and it is obtained by taking the convolution of transformation of S of n and W of n, where W of n is the window function. Now in short time speech analysis, no, we calculate energy. First we will discuss about the energy, and you already know the energy, no, main application of energy, it helps in classifying speech signal as voiced or unvoiced. Okay, it helps in classification of voiced and unvoiced. And the energy of a discrete time signal, I think all of you know, it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S square of m. Okay, the energy, no, it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S square of m. But in speech, you already know, we always calculate short time energy. Therefore, let us represent short time energy by E suffix n, and it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S of m into W of n minus m whole square. We are dividing the speech signal into segment, then we are calculating the energy. Okay, and short time energy, no, it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S of m into W of n minus m whole square. Okay, now in this expression, let us assume h of n equals W square of n. H of n equals W square of n. Then what happens? The equation 15 becomes E suffix n will be equal to sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S square m of S square m into h of n minus m. Therefore, this is nothing but again the equation for convolution. Therefore, the short time energy, no, it is obtained by taking the convolution of square of speech signal and h of n, where h of n is equal to W square of n, and this is represented with figure 14. This is the block diagram to represent equation 16, that is S of n. First it is squared, then it is given to a system whose response is given by h of n, and output is short time energy. It is obtained by taking the convolution of S square of n and h of n, and it is given by sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity S square of m into h of n minus m. Therefore, in the MATLAB, no, we got the command. Directly you can compute energy, that is energy ST, energy short time. Okay, you got this command, and by using this command, no, you can compute the short time energy. And you can see the first figure, no, it is window length is 161 samples. It contains the energy of voiced and energy of unvoiced speech signal. Okay, and important application of energy is it helps to classify voiced speech signal and unvoiced speech signal. The energy in
Sir?
case of yes. In case of voiced speech signal, it has got higher energy, whereas in case of unvoiced speech signal, no, it has got the lower energy. Therefore, it helps to classify voiced and unvoiced speech signal. Okay, important advantage is the in case of voiced speech signal, it has got higher energy, and in case of unvoiced speech signal, it has got lower energy. Next one is the short time zero crossing rate. Okay, the short time zero crossing rate is defined as the number of times the speech signal changes sign within a given time interval. Okay, changes sign means it crosses the time axis. Okay, time axis or changes algebraic sign. Hence, zero crossing is said to occur if successive samples have different algebraic sign. The short time energy, short time average zero crossing rate, it is calculated by using this formula. It is represented in all books, no, by z suffix n. It is equal to sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity of absolute value of sgn of s of m minus sgn of s of m minus 1 multiplied by window function. Okay, therefore now sg of sgn of s of n, it will be 1 if s of n, if it is greater than or equal to 0. Sgn of s of n, it will be equal to minus 1 if s of n is less than 0. Therefore, zero crossing rate, that is, it crosses the zero crossing rate, no, that is, it crosses the time axis when it changes from positive to negative or from negative to positive. Now, first we will take example when it changes from positive to negative. Okay, therefore positive, it is the previous value, that is the value of s of m minus 1. Positive to negative, negative is the value of s of m. Okay, therefore when it changes from positive to negative, okay, the sgm of s of m minus 1 value, no, it is n, s of n is greater than or equal to 0, the value is 1, and the sgn of s of m, this value will be, it is less than 0, it is minus 1. Therefore, it is minus 1 minus 1. Okay, minus 1 minus 1, it is minus 2. We are taking absolute value, it is 2. 2 by 2 is 1. Okay, or if it changes from negative to positive, when it changes from negative to positive, then what happens? The sgn s of m, okay, that is s of n is greater than or equal to 0, the value is 1, and sgn s of m minus 1, that is the previous value, it is negative, it is minus 1, minus into minus plus 1, it becomes 2. Okay, 2 divided by 2, again it is 1. Therefore, once when it changes from positive to negative or negative to positive, the z suffix n, no, it is incremented by 1. And the short time zero crossing rate, this also helps in classification of voiced and unvoiced speech signal. And it is represented with the help of this block diagram. Okay, that is, we take difference, then we take absolute value, then it is multiplied by a window function. That window functions act as low pass filter. And generally, the voiced and unvoiced speech has 1400 and 4900 zero crossing rate, zero crossing per sample respectively. Voiced, no, it has got a lower zero crossing rate, whereas unvoiced, it has got higher zero crossing rate. Okay, that's why the voiced regions, no, voiced speech samples have higher energy. It has got higher energy, whereas lower zero crossing rate, whereas unvoiced speech signal has lower energy and higher zero crossing rate. Okay, with the help of this, you can classify the speech signal as voiced and unvoiced. Next, the important application of the energy and zero crossing rate, it helps in speech versus silence discrimination. Therefore, in any application, you already know speech is always with noise. Therefore, first we have to identify the starting and ending point of speech signal. For that, the energy and zero crossing rate, these two are useful. This is the procedure to to find the starting and end point of speech information. The first step is check the first crossing of ITU. ITU means this is first we calculate energy, zero crossing rate. This is up, T means threshold value. Upper threshold value, TL means lower threshold value. Similarly, IZCT, this is the threshold value of zero crossing. Okay. Now, the first step is check the first crossing of ITU and then for crossing of ITL. ITU crossing indicates the beginning and end as shown in figure 16. This is figure 16. Then on zero crossing, move backward and forward from N1 and N2 respectively. Okay. First, we have to identify the speech signal. First, we have to calculate threshold value, okay, of the speech signal, and we have to compare with upper threshold value, and these 2 points gives the starting and end point of the speech information. Then it is compared with the lower threshold value, and then we fix these 2 points, N1 and N2, okay, as the starting and end point. Actually, these two are not starting and end point. Again, depending on the zero crossing rate, no, the position of N1 and N2 changes. Okay, first, no, we fix the starting and end point with the help of lower threshold value of the energy. Then after that, the third step is then on zero crossing, move backward and forward from N1 and N2 respectively. Fourth step is if the threshold IZCT is crossed more than 3 times, move backward to first time crossing, which gives the boundary. Similarly, if threshold is crossed more than 3 times, move forward to the first crossing, which gives the boundary. Therefore, from N1, okay, now we consider zero crossing rate. From N1, we move backward. We move backward and we check whether there is any crossing of zero that is the zero crossing threshold value. If it has crossed 3 times, then again, no, we move backward and we fix the first point, first crossing as the starting point of speech signal. Okay, from N1, no, we move backward and we check whether there is any crossing. If it has crossed more than 3 times, then again, no, we move backward and we fix the first crossing as the starting point of speech. Okay, and similarly, it is done from N2. From N2, we move forward and again we check whether there is any crossing. If there is no crossing, then we fix N2 itself end point. Therefore, now in this example, no, we got the 3 times crossing. That 3 time crossing is not shown. Okay, and since it has from N1, we move backward. Since it has crossed 3 times, we fix the first crossing point as the starting point of speech information. From N2, again, we move forward. Now, in this example, there is no zero crossing. Hence, we fix N2 itself, the end point of speech. With this procedure, no, we fix the starting and end point of speech signal. Therefore, in all the application, no, speech always it is with noise. Therefore, by calculating energy and zero crossing, we can fix the starting and end point of speech information. Next one is short time autocorrelation. Okay, this autocorrelation means, I think most probably all of you know, the correlation, no, it helps to compare the 2 samples of the same signal. Pi of k, no, it is given by m equals minus infinity to plus infinity, s of m into s of m plus k. These are 2 samples of the speech signal, and the correlation function, no, autocorrelation, it helps to compare the similarities between 2 samples of the speech signal. But in speech, always we consider short time, the short time autocorrelation function. That means we multiply the speech by a window function. Okay, we multiply speech signal by a window function, then you get the short time autocorrelation. Now, in this, let us replace k by minus k. If you replace k by minus k, then you get this expression. Okay, that is nothing but you get Rn of minus k. Rn of minus k is nothing but it is the folded version of Rn of k. Rn of minus k, it is the folded version of Rn of k. Now in this expression, let us assume hk of n equals w of n into w of n plus k, and also those who already studied DSP, they know from the properties the correlation function and the folded correlation function, these two are equal. The correlation function and the folded correlation function, these two are equal. Therefore, the expression becomes Rn of k, it is equal to sigma m equals minus infinity to plus infinity s of m into s of m minus k into hk of n minus m. Therefore, s of n is the speech signal and s of n minus k is obtained after a delay of k. If we take the product of these two, okay, and it is passed through a system, the response of the system, no, it is represented by hk of n, then you get short time autocorrelation function. Therefore, short time autocorrelation function, no, it is obtained by taking the convolution of s of n and s of n minus k and hk of n. Then we get Rn of k. Okay. Therefore, the main application of short time correlation is it helps to calculate the pitch period. It helps to calculate pitch period. Now let us assume sampling rate, that is sampling frequency is 8000 Hz, and after plotting autocorrelation function, let us assume the prominent peak. Prominent peak is at 81, at position 81. Then pitch period, no, it is equal to the 81 divided by 8000 Hz. It is nothing but 10.125 millisecond. Okay, just after plotting autocorrelation function, we have to identify the position of the prominent peak. If prominent peak is at 81, then divide it by sampling frequency, you get pitch period. Then pitch frequency is nothing but you already know, it is reciprocal of this, you get 98.8 Hz. Therefore, easily know the fundamental frequency, that is pitch frequency, is nothing but it is fundamental frequency. The fundamental frequency, no, easily it can be calculated with the help of short time autocorrelation function. And in MATLAB, no, you got command xcar. Okay, by using xcar, you can calculate the short time autocorrelation function. And in the figure, the plotting is shown for different window length. The next topic we have to discuss is spectrogram. Okay, spectrogram. The basic tool in spectral analysis is spectrogram. It converts two-dimensional speech waveform into three-dimensional pattern. That is amplitude versus frequency versus time. Okay, the speech signal, you already know, it is two-dimensional. Okay, it is always with respect to time. It converts this to three-dimensional, that is spectrogram. Okay, and the instrument that generates spectrogram is called spectrograph. Okay, and generally, you know, in spectrogram, the horizontal axis, no, it represents time, and vertical axis, it represents frequency. And third dimension, no, it is indicated by amplitude. Okay, and the magnitude of the light and dark area, okay, of the illustrates the magnitude of the frequency components, and darker area reveals higher intensity of frequency components. And spectrogram, no, it is computed by using this equation, that is STFT of t comma omega whole square. Okay, and this is the procedure, no, it is used to calculate the spectrogram of the speech signal. That is, in STFT, digitally sampled data is broken into blocks and then Fourier transform to calculate the squared magnitude of the frequency spectrum of each block. Now, first we divide the speech signal into blocks, and for each block, we convert speech signal from time domain to frequency domain by using FFT. By using FFT, then we calculate absolute value, and then we square this. That is done in the first step. Then you already know, once when the signal, when it is converted from time to frequency in time domain, you already know the horizontal axis is time and vertical axis is amplitude. When it is converted to frequency domain, the horizontal axis will be frequency and vertical axis will be amplitude. Okay, that is, it converts signals from time domain to frequency domain. After converting signals from time domain to frequency domain, we square the value and we take absolute value. After that, we rotate it by 90 degree. We rotate it by 90 degree. Once when we rotate it by 90 degree, then the vertical axis, no, it becomes frequency. Vertical axis becomes frequency, and the spectrogram generation, no, it is shown in the next slide. Then after that, all these spectrums, no, it is led side by side to form the image of three-dimensional surface. The horizontal axis represents time, vertical axis represent frequency, a third dimension indicating the amplitude of a particular frequency of a particular at a particular time. Okay, amplitude is noted by darkness of the display. Light and dark area representation illustrates the magnitude of the frequency components. These steps, no, it is shown in the figure in the next slide. Now, first step is we divide the speech signal, no, into blocks. Okay, then we calculate FFT. FFT means we convert signal from time domain to frequency domain. Then we square that value. Then we take absolute value. Then after that, no, we rotate this by 90 degree. If you rotate it by 90 degree, then the frequency, no, it becomes vertical axis, and the amplitude, no, it becomes the horizontal axis. Next, no, we all this, no, it is led side by side. Once when it is led side by side, then what happens? The vertical axis is frequency, the horizontal axis is time, and the magnitude, no, it is represented with this. Okay, with this striations, and the higher amplitude, no, it is represented by darker region, and the lower amplitude is represented by light region. Light and dark region, no, it gives the information of the amplitude. Next, in spectrograms, there are two types: narrow band spectrogram and wide band spectrogram. Okay, and if we use long window, that is approximately 22 milliseconds, okay, it is shown in the figure in 19. Okay, then we get narrow band spectrogram. These spectrograms have good frequency resolution and poor time resolution, whereas wide spectrogram, it is obtained by using short window. That is, if you take window length 3.3 millisecond, then we get wide band spectrogram. Okay, and these wide band spectrogram have good time resolution and poor frequency resolution. Wide band spectrograms, no, are useful for pitch period or fundamental frequency estimation, whereas narrow band spectrograms, no, are useful to extract vocal tract parameter. That means we get formant frequency. The wide band spectrogram are useful in calculating fundamental frequency, whereas narrow band is useful. Spectrograms are useful in finding the formant frequency. This is narrow band spectrograms, and this is wide band spectrograms. Narrow band spectrograms, always it contains horizontal striations, whereas wide band spectrogram, it contains vertical striations. And in MATLAB, no, you got the command specgram. Okay, by using specgram, no, directly you can get horizontal and vertical spectrograms just by varying this window. Okay, therefore in this you get horizontal striation and this is vertical striation. Therefore, by using specgram, no, you can get the spectrogram. Okay, and by changing window length, you can get both horizontal, we can get both wide band and narrow band spectrograms. The last one is LPC analysis, okay, or autoregressive modeling. And this is one of the most powerful speech analysis method, is linear predictive analysis method, and it is also called autoregressive modeling. The basic idea behind linear predictive analysis is that the speech samples can be approximated as a linear combinations of past speech samples. Okay, that is, the speech samples, no, it can be predicted with the help of previous speech samples, and it's called LPC analysis, linear predictive coding analysis. This is very, very useful. Therefore, you already know in speech, the minimum sampling frequency is 4 kilohertz and maximum sampling frequency is 40 kilohertz. If we take even minimum sampling frequency 4 kilohertz, all of you know, you get 4,000 samples per second. Therefore, in order to store the speech data, no, it requires huge memory. If we use LPC analysis, then it requires only few locations. If there are 10 speech samples, okay, and 10 vocal tract parameters, or we call that as LPC parameters, and if we got 10 LPC parameters and 10 past speech samples, just it requires only 20 locations, memory location, and by using this, you can predict the next speech sample, okay, and we'll study this in detail. Therefore, you know already this model, no, in digital model, that is either it receives voiced or unvoiced, then it is given to filter, then it is given to radiation model. Okay, this is the block diagram. And if alpha suffix k are vocal tract parameters, therefore you already know the transfer function of vocal tract is given by g divided by 1 minus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into z to the power of minus k. We already derived this expression in the digital models. Next, if you cross multiply this, now you get s of z into 1 minus sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into z to the power of minus k. It is equal to g into u of z. Okay. Or if you rearrange, then you get s of z equals sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into z to the power of minus k into s of z plus g into u of z. Okay. Now, if we take inverse Z transform, now you get s of n equals sigma k equals 1 to p alpha suffix k into s of n minus k plus g into u of n. Therefore, u of n is nothing but the excitation signal, that is glottal pulse signal. Okay, and s of n minus k, you already know, it is previous speech samples, and alpha suffix k is vocal tract parameter. Therefore, by using this equation, no exact speech information can be obtained. But in LPC analysis, you already know, with the help of previous speech samples and with the help of LPC coefficient, we predict the speech sample. Let us represent that speech sample as S tilt of n. Okay, it is given by sigma k equals 1 to p or a suffix k into s of n minus k, where a suffix k are LPC coefficient. Therefore, if you know the previous values of speech sample, and if you know that is LPC coefficient, then we can calculate the speech sample. Okay. Therefore, now in order to calculate a suffix k value, we have to calculate error. The prediction error, no, it is given by s of n minus s tilt of n. You already know s tilt of n is given by sigma k equals 1 to p a suffix k into s of n minus k. But in speech, always, you already know, we take short segment. Let us represent short segment by Sn of m, or it is equal to, in some books, it is represented by s of n plus m. Okay. Now, if you take short segment and then prediction error, short-term prediction error is given by epsilon n equals sigma m equals e square n of m. Okay. And you already know e square n of m value, substitute that. Okay. You get epsilon n. This is a short-term prediction error. Now, if you differentiate this with respect to a suffix I and if you equate it to 0, okay, then you get this expression. And after rearranging, no, you get the expression sigma n m minus I into sigma n of m. Okay, it is equal to summation of k equals 1 to p a suffix k sigma m Sn of m minus I into Sn of m minus k. Okay. Now, in this expression, let us define pi n of I comma k equals sigma Sn of m minus I into Sn of m minus k, and then automatically the LHS term, no, it is given by pi n of I comma 0. Therefore, equation 12, no, it can be written as pi n of I comma 0 equals sigma k equals 1 to p a suffix k pi n of I comma k for I equals 1 so on up to p. Okay. Now if we solve this, then it is possible to calculate a suffix k value, and a suffix k value you already know it is LPC coefficients. Okay. For the solution for this, to compute this, we got two methods. One is covariance method and second one is autocorrelation method. The following two algorithms are used to solve equation 14. The first one is covariance method. Now in the covariance method, now only assumption we are making is we are defining the interval for summation, that is m equals 0 to n minus 1. That is epsilon n will be equal to sigma m equals 0 to n minus 1 e square n of m. Okay. In covariance method, now we are defining the interval for summation. Then automatically pi n of I comma k will be equal to m equals 0 to n minus 1 Sn of m minus I into Sn of m minus k, where I takes value 1 to 2p and k takes value 0 to p. And in this expression, now if you put m equals m minus I, you get equation 17. Okay, that is Sn of m, Sn of m plus I minus k. Therefore, pi n of I comma k, no, it is given by m equals minus k, n minus k minus 1 Sn of m, Sn of m plus k minus I. Therefore, you know the speech samples. With the help of this, no, you can compute pi n of I comma k, and also if you put no k equals 0, then this expression becomes Sn of m into Sn of m plus m minus I. Then pi n of I comma 0 also it can be calculated. Now in equation 14, if you substitute the p values and the I values and k values, no, you get the equation 14 in this form, matrix form. Okay, that is pi n of 1 comma 1 so on up to pi n of 1 comma p. Okay, and this is multiplied by a1 to ap and pi n 1 comma 0 to pi n p comma 0. Now in this matrix you can see all the diagonal elements, no, it is different, and this is the upper triangular matrix pi n 1 comma 2 pi n 1 comma 3 so on, whereas this is the lower triangular matrix, that is pi n of 2 comma 1 pi n of 3 comma 1. Therefore from this you can see the lower triangular matrix and upper triangular matrix. Okay, that is the lower triangular matrix, no, it is transpose of upper triangular matrix. Lower triangular matrix is transpose of upper triangular matrix, and all the diagonal elements are different. Okay, and this type of matrix, no, it is called symmetric matrix. I think you have studied in linear algebra. The solution for this type of matrix, no, it is obtained by Cholesky decomposition method. Cholesky decomposition method. Now first we will consider the equation k equals 1 to p a suffix k pi n of I comma k, it is equal to pi n of I comma 0 for I equals 1 to p. Now if we represent this by matrix notation, okay, that is pi n of I comma k is represented by pi and pi n of I comma 0 is represented by psi. Okay, and this no a k is represented by a. Then we get pi a equals psi. Pi a equals psi. And you already know pi is nothing but that matrix, no, it is nothing but V into D into V transpose. Okay, that is lower and upper triangular matrix, they are related by transpose. Therefore it is V into diagonal matrix into V transpose, where V is the lower triangular matrix. Okay, and D is the diagonal matrix, VT is the upper triangular matrix. Now if you substitute that in the equation 21, you get V into D into V transpose into A equals psi. Now in this expression, let us assume Y equals D into V transpose into A. Then in that case, no, the expression becomes Vt into A. It is equal to D to the power of minus 1 into Y. You call this as 24. And equation 23, no, because we are substituting Y equals D into V transpose into A, it becomes V into Y equals psi. Okay. Now we can understand the how to calculate A1 A2 so on, A3, A4. Okay, that is LPC coefficient by taking an example. Let us assume P equals 4 and pi n of I comma j, let us assume it is equal to pi I j. The above equation, no, it can be written in this form. This is lower triangular matrix, diagonal matrix. This is upper triangular matrix. Okay, and we already know from equation 25, Vy equals psi. Therefore, V is given by this matrix, Y is given by this matrix, and psi. Okay, now if you solve this, then you get y1 equals psi1, y2 equals psi2 minus v21 into y1, y3 equals psi3 minus v31 into y1 minus v32 into y2, and y4 equals psi4 minus v4 into y1 and minus v42 into y2 minus v43 into y3. Okay. Next, from equation 24, you already know this is upper triangular matrix into A matrix. It is equal to diagonal matrix into Y matrix. Therefore, if you simplify this, you get y1 slash d1 so on. Okay. Now, if you solve these two, you get A4 value. It is equal to y4 divided by d4. A3 is y3 divided by d3 minus v43 into A4. A2 equals y2 divided by d2 minus v32 into A3 minus v42 into A4. And A1, it is equal to y1 divided by d1 minus v21 into A2 y minus y3 v31 into A3 minus v41 into A4. Therefore, now already in the previous slide, we calculated y4 value and we know the values of diagonal by a window function. Okay, because you already know window function value, it is non-zero over the interval 0 to n plus p minus 1, and it is 0, okay, outside this interval. Therefore, the e suffix n value becomes m equals 0 to n plus p minus 1 e square n of m, that is after multiplying with a window function. Then pi n of I comma k, it becomes m equals 0 to n plus p minus 1 Sn of m minus y into Sn of m minus k. And this is if you, in this expression, if you substitute m minus I equals m, then you get Sn of m into Sn of m plus I minus k. Okay. And this expression, it is equivalent to the expression to compute autocorrelation function. Therefore, pi n of I comma k will be equal to Rn of I minus k. Similarly, Rn of I will be equal to m equals 0 to n minus 1 minus I Sn of m into Sn of m plus I. Therefore, you already know the correlation function and folded correlation functions, these two are equal. Therefore, the expression becomes sigma k equals 1 to p a suffix k into Rn of absolute value of I minus k, it is equal to Rn of I for I equals 1 to p. Okay, now if you expand this, you get this matrix. But that is after substituting I and k values, you get this matrix. And in this matrix, you can see all the diagonal elements are equal. Okay, and the lower and upper triangular matrix is also equal. This type of matrix, I think you already know in linear algebra, it is called as Toeplitz matrix. This is called Toeplitz matrix, and the solution for this type of matrix, it is obtained by Durbin's recursive procedure. Durbin's recursive procedure gives the solution for this type of matrix. Okay, and in this, these are the steps used. First one is initialization, that is e to the power of 0 equals r of 0. Next, we perform the iteration, okay, for I equals 1 to p recursively. That is, first we calculate k suffix I value. It is given by r of I minus sigma j equals 1 to I minus 1. A suffix j to the power I minus 1 into r of I minus j divided by e to the power I minus 1. Next, a suffix I to the power I equals k I. Okay. Next, we calculate a suffix j to the power I, where j, it takes values 1 to I minus 1. Then we calculate e to the power of I. Okay. And this is repeated. Okay. From step 2, that is from equation to 40 to 43, it is repeated for I equals 1 to p. Then final solution is obtained by aj equals aj to the power p. Okay. These are the steps used, and if it is a Toeplitz matrix, we use Durbin's recursive procedure to find the values of LPC coefficient. Now we will take example Okay, that is, if it is 2, then the matrix equation, no, it becomes r of 0, r of 1, r of 1, r of 0. Therefore you already know all the diagonal elements are equal. Lower and upper triangular matrix also equal in case of Toeplitz matrix. Therefore for order 2 you get this matrix. This is into a1 a2, this is LPC coefficients, and r1 r2. Okay, now if we have to solve equation 40 to 43 recursively, now if you substitute I equals 1, then you get e to the power 0 equals r of 0. Then you get k1 equals r of 1 divided by r of 0. A suffix 1 to the power 1, you get it is equal to k1. It is equal to r of 1 divided by r of 0. Then we have to calculate e to the power of 1. Okay, that is after substituting the values and after simplifying, no, you get r square of 0 minus r square of 1 divided by r of 0. Next we perform the same operation, no, for I equals 2. If you substitute all the values, no, you get k2 equals this expression. Okay, after simplifying, after substituting a1 to the power 1, no, that is obtained in the previous expression, and e to the power of 1 also, it is obtained in the previous expression. After substituting all that, no, you get r of 2 into r of 0 minus r square 1 divided by r square of 0 minus r square of 1. Then a2 to the power 2 will be equal to k2. It is nothing but r of 2 into r of 0 minus r square 1 divided by r square of 0 minus r square of 1. Next, from equation 42, we already know aj to the power I will be equal to aj to the power I minus 1 minus k suffix I into a I minus j I to the power I minus 1. If you substitute I equals 2 and j equals 1, no, you get the value of a suffix 1 to the power 2. Okay, after substituting and simplifying, no, you get final value, that is r of 1 into r of 0 minus r of 1 into r of 2 divided by r square of 0 minus r square of 1. Next, final solution, you already know in Durbin's recursive procedure, aj equals aj to the power p. Okay, therefore a1, no, it is nothing but a1 to the power 2, and a2 is nothing but a to the power 2. Okay, therefore we already calculated a suffix 1 to the power 2 and a suffix 2 to the power 2. These two values you already know. From this you can calculate the values of a1 and a2. Okay, therefore once if you know the values of a1 and a2 and the previous speech samples, you can predict the next speech sample. Okay, and MATLAB command. Okay, therefore in the MATLAB, no, you got command to compute LPC coefficient, that is a equals LPC x comma 3. If you execute this command, directly you get LPC coefficient. Okay, therefore this is the main advantage of LPC, is by using the past speech samples and by using LPC coefficient, you can predict the next speech sample. Okay, these are the different types of analysis. Okay, and this completes, no, my presentation. If now you can demute your microphone, and if anybody got questions, no, you can ask me.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I want to work on text-to-speech synthesis system. As
Yeah.
I am beginner, I am confused how to start.
No, the
Can you suggest me some tools or tutorials for implementation?
the text to speech, no, it is totally different concept. Okay, in text to speech conversion, the first step you have to do is you have to generate a dictionary. Okay, you have to generate a dictionary. Then for all the alphabets, and there are you can generate a dictionary even for phonemes. Okay, then after concatenating all the phonemes, no, the text information is converted to speech. That is totally a different area. Okay, it is a totally a different area. And in text to speech conversion, first step is you have to expand all the abbreviations. Okay, then you have to use a dictionary, and in the dictionary, you know, it is rule based. All the phonemes are stored, and by concatenating all the phonemes, no, you again know the speech information is generated.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? No, in this lecture, no, I covered only the basics, and also I covered the speech analysis. There are 4 areas in speech. One is speech coding, okay, and second one is first one is speech analysis, speech coding, speech synthesis, okay, and for speaker recognition, speech recognition, and speaker recognition. Especially for speaker recognition and speech recognition, no, they use neural network, okay, that is machine learning technique, deep learning technique. They are used for speech and speaker recognition. And in order to learn this subject, no, you must be good in DSP, digital signal processing, and also in linear algebra. And especially for speaker recognition and speech recognition, no, the machine learning and the deep learning techniques, they are useful. Any other questions? Oh yes, thank you. And whatever I covered, no, this information is available in all the speech signal processing book. You can refer the textbooks. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your sharing your knowledge on digital modeling of speech signal and LPC analysis to extract speech parameters, and also briefing us about the different types of spectrograms with their MATLAB functions and their pros and cons. And thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, dear participants, you have tea break for half an hour, so we will join at 11:30.